Hello and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that video. That video is by an educational company called SOMO, S-O-O-M-O. They have released several videos like this for educational purposes, and I think it's great to give them information that's just too boring otherwise. If they use the same old stone and slate, you know, passing the information when they're slammed with videos and media, that's just amazing, right? So this, I think, is the way to go, and I'm sure there'll be more of these as time goes on. And one of the representatives from this company is going to be at the conference. Very cool. Let me introduce Karen Goodfriend, who's also moved around, but she's been living in the Bay Area for quite a long time, and we're actually very good friends, and we are on the board of WCA, so we have a lot in common, and we actually are working on this conference together. Karen is going to talk about the feminist art movement. And Karen is not a feminist artist herself, but she is now the representative for Northern California WCA TFAP, the Feminist Art Project, which started in California.
72, I believe.
72. Judy Chicago was the one that ignited that flame. And we're going to actually see one slide of her famous dinner party that's in the Boston Museum later on. And WCA has a goal of encouraging and promoting art activism. And we're not talking about being destructive. We're talking about getting attention through art with activism. So what I'd like to do is start off with some slides. We've got the slide here of the museum. What I want to say is that what do we do to when we are ignored and we're not in history, we're not in the museums, or we're not in the books, we're not in the galleries or being represented. We make our own. That museum that you see right there, that is the National Museum for Women's Art. And that was the outside, this is the inside, beautiful inside court. And here is hold this slide up for a little while, will you, Nancy? This is a slide by a woman in Victorian France, and her name is Marie Victor Limon. And this was painted in 1790. As you can see, it's self-portrait. We're going to just continue to talk about the National Museum of Women's Art. Karen, you've been there, haven't you? It's in D.C.?
Oh, yes, many times.
Okay. Did you see the most recent show with the French Revolutionary Women? That's what it was, French Revolutionary.
No, I didn't see that show, but I have visited the museum many times. They have such an incredibly fabulous collection focused on women's art, which me as a feminist curator, it's like that's also my vein of what I want to do, is just keep getting women's work out there, because you rarely see it. You don't hear about it, you don't see it, but we're going to change that.
Yeah. I actually did go to see the show, and I took those photos, and they had to go searching for artwork in France. They found it in attics, they found it in basements, they found it dusty and dirty, and it was some of the work was up showing, but sometimes it was in theaters, you know. Beautiful pieces, amazing pieces. Anyway, this is what we're doing in DC, and this is one of the solutions. We have many other museums devoted to women artists, some artists in particular, and some broadly speaking. And by the way, in New York, well, 40 years ago when WCA started, we were at 5% representation in galleries, museums, and in universities. And now we're up at 17%.
In 40 years, we're now to 8%.
8%?
Oh, wow.
8% is the representation that women artists get in museums and galleries.
In California, we have a much higher percentage, though.
Oh, absolutely. In California, yes, but I'm speaking of international. Internationally, women get 8% of the pie.
Wow. I was just went to a Gina Davis Institute fundraiser, and that's an amazing institution. They're going to be represented at the conference as well. And it's for equity in media. And Gina said it was 3%, went to 17% in media in the last 40 years. So I thought it was the same.
No, that's true. Definitely in new media, there's better representation, but new media is not really represented in the cultural institutions and white cube commercial galleries.
And they don't really show real women anyway. They show babes and bitches, and it's ridiculous. So we're going to move on to some more slides. Oh, here, Unite Against the War on Women, 4/28/12. I went to the one in Sacramento. I'm going to first show you the Virginia slides. This is a little girl standing with riot gear police on the state capitol in Virginia. What are they afraid of? Let's have the next one, please.
What are they afraid of?
I
Here's a
know.
look at this young woman. She's a little bit older than our guest that was here just recently. Facing off a riot gear man. Look at her. She's wearing a little dress and tennis shoes. So next one, please. This one is amazing. This little girl here, her sign is behind her. It said, misogynists are poo-poo heads. She was watching her mother and father prepare for this rally to Sacramento, and she said, Mommy, these misogynists, they sound like poo-poo heads. So she made a sign and brought it. It's
It's
amazing.
a very eloquent statement. I think it really narrows it down
It
very
does.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good.
Next one, please. And this man here, he went on the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes race. It wasn't a race, it was a walk. It was a march. It was a man march in Sacramento. And there's about 400 people. This last one here is keep your boner out of, keep your, your boner away from my uterus. And we can do it, Rosie the Riveter. So that was all in Sacramento. It was wonderful to see these people. And I hope they all come to our conference in September on the 8th at the National Steinbeck Center.
Women artists get as representation because recently, until the mid-'80s in Jansen's History of Art, which is Art 101 that everyone studied, there was not one woman in the entire book.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And now it's like you'll have the regulars, which are fabulous, you know, Mary Cassaw, Frida Kahlo, Cindy Sherman. They'll get a brief mention, and that's it. So you'll have one woman to every probably 200 now artists.
So one of the best things about that is that women art is undervalued. So it's a great investment.
It is a great investment. It is a great
if you
investment.
believe that we're going to rise,
Yes.
that we're going to rise up, that all boats are going to rise, because we are working towards a solution that buy women's art now, and you're getting a really great buy. And we're done.
Exactly.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming today, Martha. I'm sorry we didn't get the chance
That's
to
all
talk to you.
good. That's all
Okay.
good.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you. And we're off the camera.